The story begins in the most ordinary of places, a quiet suburban home on a mild spring afternoon. Birds chattered from a maple tree outside the kitchen window, sunlight spilled lazily across the hardwood floor, and the faint hum of a distant lawnmower set the rhythm of the day. It was peaceful, almost too peaceful, the kind of stillness that often precedes something unexpected. And for Daniel Harper, that unexpected moment was already stirring at the edges of his life. Daniel was 24, recently graduated with a degree in computer engineering, and working his first steady job at a local software firm. He was intelligent, practical, and cautious by nature, traits that made him reliable at work but left him quietly restless at home. His colleagues admired him for his neatness and punctuality, but Daniel had always felt like a background character in his own story. He lived carefully, spoke softly, and rarely stepped outside the boundaries of what was considered normal. The truth was, Daniel often wondered if he was simply surviving rather than living. His one constant anchor was Emma, his girlfriend of 3 years. Emma was his opposite in many ways, confident, lively, and endlessly curious. She loved traveling, meeting new people, and trying things that terrified Daniel. Their relationship was built on a delicate balance. Emma pulled him out of his shell, while Daniel grounded her with stability. And yet, that same balance was beginning to feel fragile. Emma often teased him about being too serious, too unwilling to take risks. Daniel feared that if he didn't change somehow, Emma might eventually outgrow him. That quiet anxiety lived beneath his skin every day, though he never spoke of it. Instead, he focused on the safe routines of life: commutes, deadlines, dinners with Emma, and the occasional family gathering. He told himself he was happy. He told himself nothing needed to change. But then his younger sister, Chloe, came bounding into his world with a request that would unravel everything. Chloe was 19, a whirlwind of creativity and ambition, currently studying fashion design at the university downtown. Her energy filled any room she entered, and she had a way of dragging people along in her current without them realizing it. For Chloe, fashion wasn't just about clothes. It was about transformation, about identity, about showing the world who you could be. She often experimented on herself, her friends, and occasionally Daniel, though he usually refused with a nervous laugh. That afternoon, Chloe knocked on Daniel's bedroom door with the kind of determined grin that always meant trouble. In her hands, she clutched a garment bag and a box of makeup supplies. "Danny," she said sweetly, "I need a favor." Daniel looked up from his laptop, suspicion already stirring. "What kind of favor?" "The kind you can't say no to," she replied with mock seriousness, stepping inside before he could refuse. "I have a big assignment due. My professor wants a full photo shoot with a live model wearing one of my designs. Problem is, my model bailed last minute. I need someone today. And guess who fits the measurements almost perfectly?" Daniel blinked, horrified.
No.
"No way. Absolutely not. I am not putting on one of your dresses." Chloe rolled her eyes, unbothered. "Oh, come on. It's just for photos. No one will see them except my professor. It'll take an hour, tops. Besides, you'd be saving me from total disaster. Do you really want your sister to fail because you're too chicken to try something new?" Her words struck deeper than she intended. Daniel hated being called afraid, yet he couldn't deny the sting of truth. Still, he shook his head. "Chloe, I can't. It's weird. What if Emma finds out? She'll think I'm some kind of what?" Chloe cut in sharply, folding her arms. "Someone willing to help his sister? Someone with enough guts to try on a dress for an hour? Seriously, you're overthinking this. It's fabric, Danny. Just fabric." He swallowed hard. The logical part of his brain screamed at him to refuse, but another part, a quieter, more curious part, hesitated. What would it hurt, really? Just a dress, just makeup, just photos no one else would ever see. And wasn't this exactly the kind of thing Emma was always nudging him toward? Trying something different, letting go of control? His silence was all the permission Chloe needed. With a triumphant grin, she unzipped the garment bag and revealed a gown of shimmering midnight blue satin. It wasn't overly frilly or flamboyant, It was sleek, elegant, with delicate straps and a flowing skirt that seemed to ripple even without movement. Daniel's breath caught despite himself. "You designed that?" he asked softly. "From scratch," Chloe said proudly. "And you, big brother, are going to bring it to life." Before he could protest further, Chloe shoved the dress into his arms and began unpacking her makeup kit. The smell of foundation and powder filled the air, mingling with his nerves. His heart pounded as he stared at the gown, the fabric cool and alien against his hands. He imagined Emma walking in, seeing him painted and dressed like some stranger. The thought sent panic racing through him. And yet, another thought crept in too. What if he looked convincing? What if, beneath the disguise, he discovered something about himself he had never dared to confront? "Chloe, he began, but she silenced him with a look.
"Danny, please."
"Trust me." And somehow, against all reason, he nodded. That was the beginning. A simple request, a single hour of pretending. But Daniel had no idea that once he stepped into that dress, he wouldn't simply be modeling for Chloe's assignment. He would be stepping into a new identity, one that refused to let go, one that would pull him deeper into a world of transformation, secrecy, and suspense than he had ever imagined. The afternoon light shifted, shadows lengthened across the floor, and Daniel felt the ground beneath his safe. Ordinary life began to move. What started as a favor would soon become a test of who he was, who he could be, and what he was willing to risk when his carefully built world collided with the allure of becoming someone else. The fashion queen was waiting. He just didn't know it yet. Daniel's heart raced as Chloe zipped the dress up the back, the satin hugging him in ways that felt impossibly strange, yet oddly exhilarating. The fabric whispered against his skin, cool and fluid, flowing down to his ankles. He had expected to feel ridiculous, perhaps even humiliated, but what surprised him was the rush of something entirely different. Vulnerability, excitement, a faint sense of power. Chloe stepped back, her eyes lighting up as she took in her handiwork. "Oh my God, Danny," she breathed. You actually look amazing." Daniel turned toward the full-length mirror propped against the wall. For a moment, he didn't recognize the reflection staring back at him. The young man who usually blended into the background had vanished, replaced by a tall, striking figure in blue satin. His broad shoulders softened under the cut of the dress, his waist seemed narrower, and the flowing skirt gave him an elegance he had never possessed in jeans and t-shirts. "I look ridiculous," he muttered, though his voice wavered. At first, Daniel told himself it was temporary. He was only helping Chloe with her coursework, nothing more. But each photo shoot pulled him deeper. Chloe's enthusiasm was contagious, and she often marveled at how natural he had become at modeling. "It's like you were born for this," she'd whisper as she adjusted a hemline or perfected a pose. The more Daniel heard it, the more he began to believe it. But the double life came with cracks. Emma had begun to notice his absences, his vague excuses about staying late at work or helping Chloe with projects. One evening over dinner, she tilted her head, her eyes narrowing in playful suspicion. "You've been acting different lately. What's going on, Danny? Got a secret hobby?" Her words nearly made him choke. He forced a laugh, waving her off, but inside, panic gnawed at him. Emma was perceptive. Too perceptive. How long could he keep Daniela hidden? The tension escalated the night Chloe asked him to model not just in their living room, but in front of her classmates. "It's a group project," she explained, her tone both pleading and excited. "Everyone's bringing their models, and I can't show up empty-handed. Please, Danny. You're perfect for this. You'll just be Daniela for a couple of hours. No one will ever connect the dots." Daniel's stomach dropped. "Chloe, I can't. What if someone recognizes me? What if?" "No one will," she insisted, gripping his hands. "Trust me. The makeup, the wig, the dress, you're unrecognizable. And, besides, don't you want to see how far this can go?" Her words lit a dangerous fire in him. A part of him did want to see. He wanted to know if Daniela could shine outside the safe walls of their home. Against his better judgment, he agreed. The night of the showcase, Daniel's nerves were shredded. Chloe dressed him in a daring crimson gown that hugged his frame, styled his wig into soft curls, and painted his face with bold, dramatic makeup. When he looked in the mirror, even he barely recognized himself. Daniela wasn't just convincing, she was breathtaking. Walking into the studio was like stepping into another universe. Dozens of students bustled around, models preening in extravagant outfits, cameras flashing. No one gave him a second glance. He was just another model, another work of art brought to life. Relief washed over him, followed quickly by exhilaration. He was invisible as Daniel, but magnetic as Daniela. When it was Chloe's turn to present, she introduced her model with a flourish. Daniel stepped onto the makeshift runway, heart pounding, and struck the poses she had drilled into him. The lights were blinding, the room buzzing, and yet, for those moments, he wasn't nervous. He was alive. Every tilt of his chin, every sweep of fabric, every glance held power. When the applause came, it was like electricity surging through him. Later, Chloe whispered in his ear, "You killed it. You belong here." Daniel smiled, flushed with pride. But the thrill carried a shadow. What if Emma found out? What if this new world swallowed him whole? That shadow grew heavier days later, when Emma stumbled upon one of Chloe's photos on her desk. It was Daniela in the sapphire gown, her gaze fierce, lips painted scarlet. Emma picked it up casually, chuckling. "Wow, Chloe, who's your model?" "She's gorgeous. Looks kind of familiar, though." Daniel froze, his stomach plummeting. Chloe recovered quickly, laughing it off. "Oh, just a friend from campus." She whisked the photo away before Emma could study it too closely. But the close call left Daniel shaken. It was only a matter of time before Emma connected the dots. The breaking point came on a Saturday evening. Chloe had convinced him to do one last big shoot, this time in a public park at twilight for dramatic effect. The dress was a dazzling silver piece that shimmered under the fading light. They set up discreetly, Chloe snapping photos as Daniel twirled and posed. Then came the voice. "Daniel?" He froze, the world tilting beneath him.
Emma.
She stood a few yards away, holding a coffee, her eyes wide with disbelief. Her gaze darted from the dress to the makeup to the wig, and realization dawned like a storm. Daniel's blood ran cold. His worst nightmare had arrived. "Emma, he stammered, but his voice cracked. His body screamed to run, but his heels rooted him to the ground. Emma's expression was unreadable, torn between confusion and betrayal. "What is this?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "Why are you dressed like that?" Chloe rushed forward, trying to intervene. "Emma, it's not what it looks like." But Emma held up her hand, silencing her. Her eyes never left Daniel. "Answer me. What's going on?" The air thickened, every second dragging like an eternity. Daniel's heart pounded so hard he thought he might faint. He could feel the wig slipping slightly on his scalp, a cruel metaphor for his unraveling double life. "I was just helping Chloe," he blurted, his voice desperate. "It's for her assignments. That's all. It doesn't mean anything." But even as he said it, he knew it was a lie.
Because it did mean something.
Daniela wasn't just a costume anymore. She was a part of him, one he couldn't easily bury. Emma's eyes softened for a fraction of a second, then hardened again. "Doesn't mean anything? You look like you've done this 100 times. You look comfortable." Daniel's throat tightened. He couldn't respond. The silence stretched until Chloe broke it, her voice urgent. "Emma, please. Don't be angry. He was just helping me. None of this was planned." But Emma shook her head, her gaze locked on Daniel. "I don't even know what to think right now. Are you hiding this from me? From us? From yourself?" Her words cut deeper than any blade. The truth was spilling out whether he liked it or not. Daniela wasn't an accident. She was real. And Emma had seen it. Then, before he could explain, Emma turned and walked away, her coffee cup falling to the ground, forgotten. Daniel took a step forward, his satin skirt swishing, but Chloe caught his arm. "Let her go. She needs time." His chest ached with panic and regret.
Time.
What if time only made things worse? That night, Daniel sat in front of his mirror, still in the silver dress, makeup smudged from tears. He stared at his reflection, at Daniela, at himself, and felt the crushing weight of the moment. His secret was no longer safe. Emma knew. His two worlds had collided. The wig slipped off his head and tumbled onto the floor, a symbolic unraveling. He picked it up, clutching it to his chest, torn between relief and despair. No more hiding. No more pretending this was just a game. But what would Emma do? Would she forgive him? Leave him? Or worse, tell others? As he sat in the silence, the questions loomed like storm clouds. He had crossed a line he could never uncross. Daniela was out in the open now, and there was no going back.